Hello, everyone. Welcome to our VCPG webinar on what happens when you call the Virginia Problem Gambling Helpline. And I'm Carolyn Hawley, and today I'm wearing two hats. One as the president of the Virginia Council on Problem Gambling, and the other as the executive director of the Virginia Partnership on Gaming and Health at VCU, where I'm also thrilled to have my colleagues from the Virginia Partnership on Gaming and Health joining me here today. So let me welcome Azim Majid, Matthew Britt, Lisa Cochran, Sean Fournier, and Elizabeth Childress, all of whom are the Virginia Partnership on Gaming and Health's peer recovery specialists, who are the first point of contact at the partnership. And you can read more about their rich experiences in their bios on our partnership's new website at vpgh.vcu.edu. But first, a little about the Virginia Council on Problem Gambling. We are the non-for-profit state affiliate of the National Council on Problem Gambling. And for over a decade, we have been providing education, awareness, prevention, training, and advocacy around problem gambling in Virginia. But one of the main things we do is we also manage the Virginia Problem Gambling Helpline that is funded by the Virginia Lottery. And this is a 24/7 confidential helpline where anyone from Virginia can call if they think they or someone they know may have an issue with gambling, or even if you want to learn more about gambling addiction in general. And we know that calls to the helpline continue to grow significantly every year. And our annual report is going to be coming up really soon. Now, if you are someone who is looking for treatment services, support groups, or recovery services, either for yourself or as a loved one, we will then connect you to the Virginia Partnership for Gaming and Health. And one of our peer recovery specialists will contact you within 48 hours. And I'm going to say it's usually much sooner than that. Now, the Virginia Partnership on Gaming and Health is a relatively new service option we have here in Virginia. And for a long time, there were very few providers who worked with individuals experiencing gambling-related harm. However, this changed when the state set up the Problem Gambling Treatment and Support Fund, which is managed by the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services. And when this fund was put in place, DBHDS, the Virginia Lottery, and the Virginia Council on Problem Gambling, we all got together to brainstorm an effective treatment and recovery model that we could get up and running as soon as possible, not only to help people who would be developing problems, but also help all the people who were experiencing gambling harm and had had no treatment options previously. And so what this resulted in is the Virginia Partnership for Gaming and Health at Virginia Commonwealth University. And our aims are really, one, to develop and sustain a treatment provider and peer recovery network within our local communities in Virginia. So if you are a licensed mental health provider or a certified peer recovery specialist, whether you're working in a private practice or for an organization, we will train you on problem gambling for free, and you can be put into our referral network. The other piece is, along with this, is we are to provide problem gambling continuing education and training on evidence-based practices to providers. So to begin with, as you would join this network, we have 30 free continuing education hours on problem gambling. And we also have a variety of webinars that are made available on special topics. The other piece of what we do is we provide timely reimbursement for a continuum of care. So we are a payer of last resort. So if someone does not have an ability to pay for any of their services, we will cover the costs of those. Now, let's bring it back to what happens when you call the helpline. So when you call the Virginia Problem Gambling Helpline, either the 888-532-3500 number or the 1-800-GAMBLER. That number is also routed to us as well. Our call center will take your information, and if you are willing, you will then be referred to the Partnership for Gaming and Health directly. And what happens after that? One of our peer recovery specialists will contact you again within 48 hours. They will meet with you, they will collect more information about you, what your needs are, so that they can make appropriate referral options. So after they get to know you a little bit more, they will then refer you to one of our treatment and or peer recovery specialists or our groups that we have available to get the services that you need. Additionally, after meeting with those providers, our peer recovery specialists will stay with you for at least a year if you are willing, so that they can at various points contact you and again connect, see how you're doing, and if there's other needs that you may have. We provide a variety of services beyond just treatment and recovery and group services. You can be connected to some of our ban options, which ban any type of gambling advertisements, pop-ups, whatever, on any of our electronic devices. We can also provide you with financial counseling. We have other apps that we use. For instance, we have Sam here from Avive that will help support your recovery services. We will assist you with the self-exclusion process if you would like. But now what I want to do is I want to turn this over and begin with asking questions of our peer recovery specialists so that you can get a better feel for the services that we're providing. Is turn this over to my colleagues, and I have some questions that the audience wants to hear from you. All right? Okay. So my first question is, when you first reach out to help seekers, what do you feel is critical to provide them with as you offer support?
So many things. Thanks, Carolyn. So, hi guys, my name is Lisa. So I think it's critical to build that trust and create a safe space that's free of judgment. We're often so shameful when we show up in early recovery. So by sharing that I'm also a person in recovery and that I understand what they're going through, it allows me to relate to them on a different level and to build that connection. It also gives them hope in their own potential, which most of us are greatly lacking in early recovery. So,
Any others also want to share? Oops, Sean, are you talking? I think you're, yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. My name is Sean Fornia. I'm a peer specialist. I serve Region 4, a central region of Virginia. I am a person that lives with a gambling disorder. I am in recovery. I love what Lisa said. You hit it spot on. Just offering a non-judgmental space is so important. Like, to be able to just connect with somebody and say it's okay. Like, when someone calls in, I have a tendency to celebrate like the call in, right? Because for me, I hit it. I didn't want anybody to know. And when I see someone call in, I'm like, yes, good job. You can break the chains of this thing. This is the first step. And so that non-judgmental safe space is really important. It's really powerful to be able to connect with individuals and celebrate the success, because that's a win. Calling in for help, it is a win. And so that's really important. And I encourage the support seekers as they call in, if you have a gambling problem, calling in for help is a win. Thanks.
Thank you, Sean. And now I want to ask, how important is sharing your lived experience with support seekers to their journey of recovery?
Hello, everyone. My name is Azim Majid. I think that it's very important and very advantageous to offering hope to the support seekers when they whenever they call in. But it's twofold. Um, so as you know, we serve as intake coordinators, for lack of a better expression, and also we provide direct peer support services to the support seekers that we serve. But every individual that we complete an intake on, we are not the peer support specialists that provide the peer support service to them. So, and I say that for this particular reason. Whenever we first complete an intake with the support seeker, we as trained professionals, at times we have to be careful not to overshare in that moment. Um, Being able to show that we can relate, we've been through, traveled the path and the journey that they traveled, and we were successful in terms of like on our journey to recovery is very important. But we have to, in those moments, gauge whether or not we have like the space on our caseload, or if we know someone else that we believe would be a better fit for that particular support seeker. So in those moments, what we would do, we would share, make sure that we provide hope. We would share as much as our story to ensure that we are inspiring the support seekers at the outset, being the first point of contact many times. Um, and also, but when we actually provide peer support, being able to share our entire journey with the support seekers is very crucial because oftentimes when a person, when we're working with them, they're not, operating from a place of despair. Oftentimes, when they first reach out, they're feeling hopeless, right? So being able to like, offer that hope, the hope, the most, powerful tool that we have as peer support specialists is our story. And oftentimes when a person, a support seeker, reaches out to the helpline or is referred to us for services, treatment and or recovery services, in that particular, when they tell their story, they're telling their story, from a place of addiction, meaning it's like, it's an addiction story. So we support them to try to transform that into a recovery story. And as something I always say to the support seekers, is your story a story of addiction or is it a story of recovery? And it's a choice that you can make. We didn't choose addiction, right? But we chose recovery. So this is something that I try to do when I'm working with them to offer them hope, to show them that I was operating from a place of addiction at one point, right? But now my story is a story of recovery, and it's a story that I'm using to bring about hope, healing, and rectification for the people that I serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Azim. And I'm also wondering, is there a difference between disclosure versus telling your story?
Absolutely. So as I was alluding to when I was just sharing, is that being able to like gauge on how much we should disclose in that first meeting and sharing our entire story, being able to kind of like, be objective when we're looking at our own journey from addiction to recovery and being able to extract beneficial morsels and lessons out of that story to share with this support seeker that's gonna really, we believe that they can connect with and that's going to help them. Sometimes sharing your entire story, it could be irrelevant to them, right? So, and we can get lost on, because it's not about us, it's about them. So what can we extract from our story, right? To disclose and in order to make, to create that connection, right? So that we can better motivate and encourage them on their journey to recovery. And oftentimes, when we do that too, we're able to convince them, like some people at the outset of their journey, it's not trustful of the entire system, right? And so we can be able to show in those moments how we overcame that and what services that we utilized when it came to treatment services, or when it came to group services, GA, or other support groups, and so on and so forth. And it creates hope. So, and I think just being intentional about how much we share. It's not about what we say. Sometimes it's about what we don't say, right? So I hope that answers your question.
Matt?
Yeah, Azim, you nailed it. That was great. And my name is Matt Britt, with BPGH, Certified Peer Recovery Specialist. I'm with the in the Charlottesville region, but I like that you mentioned about how the trusting the system, Azim, and then being able to share that crucial connection that you mentioned, and when you build that rapport with someone, you can gauge when the time is right to share that lived experience. And I was just thinking of a support seeker that I've had recently that is kind of teetering on residential treatment, and he was really scared. Naturally, it's a life change. But I was able to share with him that I also was scared to take that first step, but I knew I had to make the right change, or make a change. And that after going through that 30-day inpatient rehab, I was able to take a step back and clear my head, get away from everything that I was in the middle of, and then begin to rebuild my life. And how that experience ultimately changed everything for me. So yeah, it's like you were talking about, Carolyn. It's not necessarily about telling your whole story all at once, but just sharing what's relevant at the right time to help them feel understood, or empowered to take that next step.
And I think too, as we're talking about that fear, the change, the unknown, and the uncertainty of your ability to do this, having you all there as models and providing that example that yes, you can be successful. It's important. Thank you. And with that, that leads to my next question is can you all share with us some success stories you've had?
Yes, I can. Sorry, I was having a problem unmuting. So, one story that I like to share, there's a particular support seeker that was referred to me for peer support services back in January of 2023. And this support seeker was at such a low point in her life at this time. And, she actually attempted, suicide, right? And she attempted suicide before she was referred to the helpline, and well, reached out to the helpline, and she was unsuccessful in her attempt. But when we got her connected to treatment services, peer support services, all of the different services, she was able to self-exclude, did all of those things at the outset of her journey to recovery. But for like the first 6 or 7 months, this particular individual support seeker, she struggled. She would fall short, and I would reassure her that, listen, you fell short, it doesn't mean that you're not in recovery. As long as you got back up and you continue to push forward and you continue to try, you are still in recovery, right? So don't, despair, right? So, we worked with her for quite some time. She was, very, assertive when it came to her, clinical services, to peer support services, group services. She took advantage of GA. She was doing it all, but somehow she still found herself struggling. But me on the outside looking in, I see that she's struggling, but she's winning. She's been successful. It's a process. It doesn't change overnight, right? So she fell short quite a few times. So to eventually, I'm watching her grow. She's so brilliant, so smart, and recently she approached her 2 year mark of being in recovery, and I've known that she haven't fallen short over the last year, right? But still, she would speak. One issue that I would address with her was language, right? Using recovery-oriented language and, positive self-talk. And whenever you tell your story, like now, try not to tell it from a place of addiction. Don't make your story of addiction. Make it a story of recovery. And she would still despair for quite some time until eventually she had this aha moment. And in the group. She attend almost every single PG recovery peer support group that's facilitated. And, we have newer group members, right? They're probably at their 3 month mark or 2 month mark or whatever, but she's one of the veterans in the group. And I literally watched her have a aha moment in the group to whereas she stopped telling her story from a place of addiction and started telling it from a place of recovery. And the way that she told her story, it was so inspirational that it uplifted everyone in the group, right? And she actually led this group. She actually poured into the group. And to see this, I saw the moment while she was talking where she had an aha moment and it clicked how successful she was, right? So that was just one of the many success stories that I, have, but seeing it happen in real time and also seeing how she utilized her story again to bring about hope, healing, and rectification for others, it brought tears to my eyes and it was just a beautiful experience.
I can imagine, especially after
Yes.
struggle
Yes.
and trying to work that reframe.
Absolutely. And she understands that she's here for a reason,
Mhm.
right? She was unsuccessful in her attempts, right? And she's here for a reason. And the reason she saw it, and when she saw how impactful her story was when she shared it with other individuals, she gave hope. It wasn't me giving the hope, it was her.
Thank you. Any other success stories you'd like to share? Lisa?
I'll share one really quick. Azim, that was great. And I had a similar woman who experienced the same. She's not quite to the point where she's using her story to help others, but one day I think she will be. Um, but real quick, I was working with this woman who she started with us for harm reduction. She for months just wanted to learn how to get up and go home with money in her pocket. And so I was trying to meet her where she was at, and then one day she just had enough. And this is an older woman, and she's not super great with IT. Um, and she pulled over on the side of the road, and I helped her self-exclude on her phone. Um, and and I'll tell you what, my calls with her now are my favorite part of the week. She, since that day, um, has so much joy in her voice. It's a pleasure to talk to her. Um, and just that act of letting that go and turning that corner for her, she was able to move on with her life and do all of the things and be the person that she knew she always was. And it just it's beautiful. It's beautiful. She's one of my favorites. So yeah, thank you.
What a transformation. And I know, Azim, you just mentioned aha moments, and a aha moment that one of your help seekers had experienced. And I just want to throw that out to you all. Can you share a time where you had an aha moment in your work?
Yeah, so my name's Sean Fornia, and I live with gambling disorder, and I serve with BPGH. And so, first of all, I think when VCU offered me a position, that was there's so many aha moments. That was a huge one, right? And then I went into the office of College of Health Professionals, and I was standing on the seventh floor of this beautiful, elegant building. And I looked around and my team members were there. And I said, wow, right? What am I doing here? It's amazing, right? And also, I met this individual early along, I think in August 2022, and he works for the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services. He's our problem gambling coordinator there. And he reached out to me and said, hey, I'm going to help you address your gambling disorder. And I was like, what? How are you going to do that? And he said, I'm going to help you work with other people and help them heal as you heal, and it's going to help you heal. And I said, wow, right? There's been so many, like every day I wake up and serve the individuals that are recovering and that want a better life and that are struggling, and they're aha moments, because they're constantly teaching me, right? I'm learning from them, right? As I help them, right, along a path of recovery. And so every day is an aha moment. The realization that, the gambling disorder is a family illness. It's affecting our families, and that has a ripple effect in the community. So does the healing process. As the individuals heal, as the families heal, right, our community becomes a better and safer and happier and healthier place, and it fosters healthier communities to thrive, right? And I'm a small part of that, right? I have some really emotional ones, and I'm going to go deep and vulnerable with you guys. And this may seem a little bit, maybe, I don't know. I had a support seeker that I worked with for over a year, and we built a very, very strong rapport. And he was very connected to his spirituality. And I had, after years gone by, I wanted to follow up with him again and do the 1 year follow-up, and I couldn't reach him for a period of about 2 weeks. And all of a sudden he reaches back, and I was busy and we were playing phone tag trying to connect, and he says, I stop what I'm doing and I take the call and receive the call, and he said, hey, Sean, I got to tell you something before I go. And I said, well, where are you going? And so he told me the reason I couldn't reach him the last 2 weeks is he was in the hospital, and he just found out he had 2 weeks to live, and he was at his lake house with his family, and he spent many moments, because he said he needed to share this with me before he moved on, his appreciation for helping him find recovery so that he could heal and his family could heal, so they could all be there for his last moments, right? And it was a very sad grieving process that I had to go through, right? But this individual, I realized at that moment the difference that I was making, not only in his life, but his family's life, right? The healing that occurred to be able to be there. And there's been many support seekers, or several of them, that have transitioned on, that I became very, very in a professional relationship close to, right? That have been instrumental in my healing process, that have moved on, right? And what they have shared and what the family members have shared with me, I realized that often that all that pain that I went through, the jails, the incarcerations, the financial destruction, the lying, the cheating, the stealing, the criminal and offenses, the treatment centers, the overdoses, all had a purpose to help other people and to help our community become a healthier and safer place for the future. And I realized that I am worthy. I do have something to offer. I am not a product of the things I did. I'm a person recovering from a gambling disorder that has a great deal of hope, support, and solutions that God offered me to go through and to heal from, and to offer other people healing. And for that, I'm extremely grateful. So I want to thank everybody in my team for this opportunity. I can't believe I'm here. Every day I wake up and I say, how am I here? And it's an aha moment. And I get instructions from my spirit man that says, there are people struggling. There are people suffering from this disorder. It is time to help. It is time to serve. It is time to love. And then as I offer that love, it seems to start conquering all the things, right? And I get it from you guys. And so I could go on and talk for a long period of time, but thank you.
And thank you, Sean, for sharing your story. And it just definitely gives everyone a feel for the care and the compassion and the hope that you all provide to others. So thank you. Anyone else want to share an aha moment that you had?
I can I can share about that. Yeah, it's actually it's maybe it's multiple aha moments, but whenever a support seeker reaches that point, when they realize that their gambling is more than just about like escaping the difficult emotions or escaping triggers, more about that rather than it is about the excitement of the activity. And putting those dots together, how it can serve as a temporary escape from things, and it's just that when you're able to, sometimes you can almost hear it as it happens, like that aha moment. And when they start, yeah, connecting those dots, and that's when the recovery really starts to take off too. It happens a lot. So I don't know if it's not like a like one individual aha moment. It happens a lot, which is awesome.
That is. All right. Well, what are some of the techniques that you utilize to help support seekers?
Matt, in the Charlottesville area region, there's a lot of techniques and I'm still some of them I got to be honest, I wasn't really sure that they had a name. I just thought it was like due course of natural conversation with folks that are dealing with addiction, but like asking open-ended questions or leading questions, and everything through the lens of harm reduction, like strength-based, person-centered approach, trauma-informed care, that when we share our lived experience. But when you ask the right questions, um, people will arrive at their own conclusions, and it's so empowering for folks to realize that they have this knowledge and drive already. It just needs to kind of be brought out. That's what recovery is for. And so even though we do model recovery, it's not, hey, look what I'm doing and do what I'm doing. I'm not teaching or showing people how to recover or mirroring my own journey, but like helping them kind of come to their own unique path, their own conclusion about their path of their individual recovery, because it's recovery is deeply personal. And being able to have folks, through whatever method, and everybody has that potential to chart their own course, and when they're given the tools to do so. And like questions like what one of the ones I like, I had a guy yesterday, and one of the questions I like to ask is what has worked for you in the past when anything's gotten tough, like what brings you comfort, and guiding people to those to reflect on their own strengths and their own experiences. It's not, it kind of shifts the focus from just the problem, out of the problem and into the solution, is what I like to say. But it creates that space for discovery of self discovery, when people recognize that they already have the answers. And yeah, it's empowering. Um, yeah, there's a lot of techniques, um, but it's good when it comes naturally like that, like in the course of conversation. And um, ultimately the goal is to help individuals connect with their own resilience, their own resources, because, when they realize they have that power to shape their own recovery, it's a game changer. And that's kind of, I think everybody before me has kind of mentioned, like Azim, and talking about the groups, that people will eventually get to the point that they want to help others, because it's anybody that's had anything with a 12-step program or anything like that, the term of you got to give it away to keep it. it comes pretty naturally once you see how good recovery can be and watch somebody find it for their own for themselves.
Thank you, Matt. And a question that I hear often asked is, why don't we have more support groups in Virginia? Or how do we establish Gamblers Anonymous groups and so forth? And I'm wondering if you all could talk a little bit more about your role leading groups and how we're helping to build more of these in communities.
Yeah, so I guess I'll jump in on this one. So, what I found is that the group space offers me a lot of love, knowledge, and power. Right, there's a lot of power in the group space, right? Not only for me but for others, and so it's really important, right? And so here in Virginia, there wasn't a after COVID, all the in-person Gamblers Anonymous meetings, for the most part, especially in the Richmond area, had dissolved. And so when my healing process, I was zooming out to Las Vegas, and I said, "Who are you guys, and how are you doing it there? Because if you can recover in Las Vegas, Nevada, I know I can do it here." And so they introduced themselves to me, and they said, "Sean, keep coming back." Ooh, and I didn't like that, but I did. And as time went on, they were teaching me how they were doing it there and here. And so there wasn't any in-person meetings. And I saw that, and I was like, man, it would be nice to connect and have a safe space for me to talk about my gambling disorder in person. And so eventually some support seekers came through the program, and they walked it out, and they started their healing journey, and they started wanting to give back to others. And then I found some individuals with some fire and desire to want to give back, and they saw the same need I had, right? And I said, well, let's do it. He approached me and said, there's no meetings for GA in Richmond in person. And there it was. I found the individual to help. God sent him to me, right? And he was ready. So we formed now 2 meetings here in Richmond, in Virginia, for Gamblers Anonymous. So we have some safe spaces to recover. There's a 3rd meeting coming to the Short Pump area on Friday night. And in the support groups, right? The power is in the people, right? It is. There's so many different perspectives, because I can only see like this area, right? But there's all this area that I can't see. And so there's so many people, when I come together, can see this blind spot that I can't see, and offer me so many perspectives from so many different angles and cultures, and just all the different areas that are needed, right? That help me better see the truth. And I need that, right? And they also offer me different ways to hold me accountable, and to support me, and to encourage me, and to motivate me, and to love me when things aren't going well. And so the group has great power. It is the vehicle for change. Community is. And so having that group space, that safe space, is extremely important, not only for me, but for many others, because as we've created these groups, they just keep growing and growing and growing and growing. And we see that there's more need, there's additional needs for more groups here in Virginia in general, but specifically in the Richmond area. We're seeing it. And it offers the people a safe space. We become a family, right? We become a team. We're in this thing together, right? Good, bad, ugly, we're in it together. And we build this sense of intimacy in relationship building, not in any weird way, but just healthy relationships, right? And so where we're able to share these things that are going on, instead of running from them or trying to escape them or escape our feelings or whatever it may be. And we can realize that we can walk through this, and we can do it together without gambling.
Thank you. And I think support is so important. to recovery and health. We need that. And Lisa, you had your hand raised?
Oh, yeah. I wanted to say so Northern Virginia, we've just started another group in Centerville, and it was actually a newcomer. Well, she's not so new anymore, who helped start it. So super exciting that that happened. So now there's three in this area, and I know Elizabeth and I often try and plant that seed for the ladies to get more involved because some of them have no meetings in their areas. So yeah, we're hoping to inspire some ladies to maybe eventually start meetings in their areas. I think that that would be great.
And I think that's one of the unique things that we have about the partnership is all of our peer recovery specialists, they're in one of the 5 health regions in Virginia. And so that's part of the plan is how can we better develop resources in these communities so people have options.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, part of our model also is our network providers, whether they're treatment professionals or outside peer recovery specialists. They're the individuals we often refer our support seekers to. And so I'm wondering if you can share a little bit about how your relationship is like with other providers.
Hi. Hi, sorry I had to join late. I'm Elizabeth Childress, and I work with this wonderful team at the Virginia Partnership for Gaming and Health, Region 3 coordinator. Um, and I have learned so much about the importance of building a rapport with those that we are partnered with, uh, particularly with our clinicians. It's very valuable in understanding their treatment approaches and knowing their expertise is very, very important. Communicating when referring the support seeker to clinicians. I try to always make sure to include things such as any co-occurring disorders, like mental health disorders, any suicidal ideation, alcohol use disorders, substance use disorders. Uh, I also aim to align that, things that the support seeker values, and also I gauge in the intake their readiness to change. So if, they're not ready to do anything different today, which is great, not nearly, that's never happened because they've not made that phone call if that's the case. But perhaps they're at a 5, they want to make some changes towards um, just learning how to gamble more responsibly, or 10, they want to never gamble again. Depending on that, that information helps by portraying that to the clinicians, as some prefer to do a more abstinence-based approach, while other clinicians will happily take months with a support seeker to explore and do trial and error harm reduction strategies until the support seeker reaches their goals. And then in creating that warm handoff, because when they call in, they're in crisis. I'm sure they've already covered this. I'm sorry. But we want to make sure that they get connected. And the only way to do that is through communication. So making sure that the clinician, the support seeker feels supported in speaking with that clinician. And if the clinician is having a difficult time reaching the client, for instance, let's say, or the support seeker, let's say we have a support seeker who is a flight attendant. So I know this, so I know that they're not going to get calls because they're flying internationally all month long. So I would ask the support seeker and be able to translate that information to the clinician. Can you perhaps send a text and let them know, hi, I'm the person, who has been referred to you. But communicating regularly with clinicians regarding support seekers to ensure that the referral has went through smoothly, that both the support seeker and clinician feel that they're a good fit for one another. That's an important thing too. So gaining that feedback from each other helps to provide insight into the support seeker. And we also encourage the support seeker to engage in services with one another. So just maintaining that contact with the individual after the referral to provide encouragement and any additional supports. I always ask, of course, if they have connected, and I ask them if they're comfortable. Do you feel comfortable with your clinician? I have particularly found the value of partnering with clinicians in creating support seekers' personal recovery plans and how that helps their pathway, because particularly in the beginning, because they're in crisis, while the support seeker often feels more comfortable sharing certain things with the certified peer support specialist about their lives, I have found that their relationship with the clinician who does this deep dive into the why did gambling go from a recreational activity to an escapism? That has helped me when I discuss this with the clinician to have a better perspective of the support seeker. And it's not usually necessary for me to share that information, but it's more for me to have a better understanding as I have sessions and interactions to help the support seeker accomplish their goals.
So it sounds like with the help seekers, the support seekers' permission, it's really a team
Always.
approach with the support seeker, with the certified peer recovery specialist, and the treatment provider.
Yes, always when doing the intake, one of the first things that I explain is that what we talk about stays between us unless they ask me to share that information with their clinician or their certified peer support specialist. And I'm always very open and transparent, and we're careful about making sure to have that verbal agreement that we can speak on their behalf.
Thank you. And now I just want to open it up for questions for the audience, but first asking all of you, what else should people know about the work you do? What would you want a caller to know?
I could answer. What I would want a caller to know is that there's a team of people here that really care. And our ultimate goal is to make sure that they are receiving quality services so that they can get healthier to whatever degree that may be. So just knowing that you have a dedicated team here that really cares, and we're gonna, support you through the process, regardless of how long it may take, right? We're gonna always be here if you fall short. You got a supportive team, and we're not gonna judge you. We have a team of people that's non-judgmental. We're just here to support you. We're gonna, deal with your situation and circumstance from an objective standpoint, and we're gonna be transparent, open, and honest with you. So that's what I would say.
I would say that I want people to know that together we can, right? You don't have to hide it. There is a solution. There is hope. No matter how bad it may seem, help is available, and together we can, right? And one other suggestion I offer is, don't take advice, Sean, from the last person you gambled with. Sometimes it's not the best advice. Seek wise counsel, right? Reach out, gain the wisdom from others, right? We're here. We're here to help. We're here to make a difference. Celebrating your successes, right? That helps me succeed. Like, it's amazing to see people recover. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever been a part of in my entire life. To watch a human change. I couldn't see my change, but when I watch other people change, it is absolutely the most rewarding thing I've ever been a part of. It's a beautiful thing, and change is possible.
And we see it every day.
I think it's wonderful that we're able to collect the information on the success, even the quotes, so that people know how many people have been touched and their lives have been, they have been able to change their lives because someone was willing to listen and care, offer support, and connect with them.
Right. And I'm just sharing as we continue to discuss information on how to contact us, both the Virginia Council on Problem Gambling. You can call the helpline number 888-532-3500. In addition, 1-800-GAMBLER, we also answer those calls as well. Or you could do, and when you call that helpline, it's going to refer you to the partnership as well. I also have a link here that provides a direct referral to our direct referral form at the partnership. And if you have any questions or want more information, you can also email the partnership at vpgh_support@vcu.edu as well, or VCPG also. So questions from our audience.
I just want to make a quick comment. I spent yesterday doing training for a couple other helpline staffs in other states, and I cannot tell you the contrast between the passion and the enthusiasm and like the dedication of this team and the experience that somebody has when they connect with you versus the majority of the country, right? And I think most times when someone calls a helpline, they just expect to hear, somebody who's answering the call line for a number of different, situations or problems and is looking for okay, if I have somebody that needs gambling, I send them this PDF, right? Like if A, then B, if B, then C. Um, I really do think that the quality of this work is, at the real leading edge of what's happening in the United States. And I commend you all for that. I think this is so cool that this is exactly what we need in the space.
Sam, thank you for sharing that. It's important. I'm glad you did, right? Nobody gave up on me. People continued to help me even when I fell short. I'm unwilling to give up on people. I know you can recover. I will not give up on anybody because people didn't give up on me.
Yeah, 100%. It's so cool. It's so inspiring. It just like pumps me up. Thank you all for sharing all of that. I thought it was great.
Thank you, Sam. That actually brings up a conversation I had a couple weeks ago that I had never thought about. But I was talking to an individual and I was just actually telling him, a little bit about my work and what I do. And he thought that calling 1-800-GAMBLER was like calling 988, or like that you would, like you were talking about, you would literally get, well, do this. He's like, what do you do? Tell him, hey, stop gambling. So, I mean, yeah, and that is the complete opposite of what we do, as you said. So thank you for pointing that out, because I would like to find a way for them to know how much we do. And it's not just a call. It's not just a call. So thank you for pointing that out, Sam.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. And I'll say too, I mean, this team is extraordinary. And, it's often an issue that we have of just reminding ourselves to take care of ourselves, because people are so responsive to others' needs. And we just have to avoid our own burnout too, and balance that both, because we know we never want to miss someone when they're in need, because this may be the opportunity to literally save their life. Any other questions? Check. All right. Well, thank you all for attending. And thank you, team, for being on this today.
Yeah, thank you everybody for coming. It's a great opportunity. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Carolyn. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Enjoy the rest of your day.